Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the 2U's of 2U's Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at 2usfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our 2U's Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode.
Hello, Marsha.
Hi, Kelly.
She's right here, right next to me at the desk, and we're having a glass
Cheers.
of wine. Cheers.
We're literally 12 inches from each other.
Yes, because we have to be close to, to be able to make the microphone work
That's
better.
nice.
Clinker Brick.
Oh, okay.
This is the winery that we stayed at. Now, when we put our glasses down, it's going to make we're going to make noise with the microphone. So we'll try to be careful, but we're not going to do much editing because we're too busy having fun.
Yes. So what we're going to do, we've been talking about this. We're just going to do a little project update right now and kind of what we've been doing. And then we leave tomorrow, Thursday, to Pismo Beach, California for the Vintage Trailer Rally, which is why I'm down here to go to the rally.
Yes.
So, and we'll record a little bit at the rally too. But we thought we are going to be having fun and playing miniature golf and flying kites and
walking dogs on the beach.
And there's a swimming pool there, and then just looking at trailers and
pancake breakfast in your pajamas.
Yes, yeah. So as we say, we're not going to edit this. We're just going to put the two pieces together and send it out.
Yep.
So,
what should we talk about?
I think I'm going to talk about my projects.
Okay.
Because, literally 30 seconds ago, I just had a discovery about one of my projects. Because I said to Kelly, I was going to talk about the socks that I'm making for my brother. And I said, you've not actually seen them. So I pulled them out and I said, don't you think this is really heavy? And make a long story short, it's 100 grams and what is it, like 328 yards or something? And you said, well, it's sport weight. And I said, no, it's fingering. And
then she looked at the label.
I looked at the label in extremely fine small print.
Yes.
It says.
Well, and cursive-y fine print. I mean, probably like 2 to 3 points. Isn't that how they measure fonts?
Yeah, it's a half a point or something.
It's
so small. It says
small
sport weight.
And it's all curly Q. I mean, we really had to look at it. It did not quite have to get out the microscope, the magnifying glass.
Yeah.
But it was almost like that.
Yeah.
So
this makes sense why I felt like I was going to be short and got a contrasting yarn for the heels and toes.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on with me, but I just am starting to knit and not paying any attention, I think. So anyway, but as I think I said in the last episode, I had finished one and I'm on the second one. And Kelly, I've done the leg, the heel. I'm just doing the foot now. And I'm maybe a
couple of inches away from the toe.
Maybe 2 inches from the toe. And I'm going to have to see because I did weigh out my yarn. And I'll show you what I have left for the, this is what's left of the green from the first sock and this much from the second sock that I'm working on. So I'm a little worried that I won't have, I think I'll have enough. If I don't have enough, I'm just going to make the toe, what am I trying? I'm just going to start knitting.
Make a big toe sock.
A big toe sock, yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I did finish a project. Okay. Yes. Keep going.
But now what I really want to talk about, and then the other thing is since I've been down here, I did bring my spinning wheel and I started spinning the 2 braids that I had. One was sort of the yellow, gray, and natural color that was the Falkland wool. And then the other one is, it is merino silk and it is kind of aqua, gold, I don't know what color.
It
kind of a green in there.
It kind of has that same, the same yellow, no gray. It has turquoise aqua instead of the gray. The yellow is more gold, more green.
Kind of a greeny yellow, where the
less cream.
Yeah, less cream. No, actually, hardly any cream. And then the other one, the Falkland, the yellow is very like baby sweater yellow, kind of. No, it's like butter yellow.
It's like butter yellow. It's not quite
yellow.
as pastel-y as a baby sweater would be, I think. But it's nice. I like it. I think you're going to like it once you apply it together.
I want to see.
Marsha, if you can't tell, Marsha is a little iffy about this project.
I wasn't sure if I was going to like... I don't mind combining the different fibers, but I was just wondering... I think the greeny gold one in aqua is so pretty. I was wondering what it'll be like. But honestly, I said to you this, I guess it was last night or something, I've never not liked any of the yarn I've made. So you don't know until you apply it together.
Right.
But I have 8 ounces of each color. So
that's that'll be a lot of yarn.
That's a lot. I never do anything small, Kelly. You know how I am.
Marsha always spins a sweater quantity.
But no, what I really wanted to talk about is I did bring with me the Unpattern by Karen Alfke, that I was making the sweater for my son out of the 2 colors of handspun. And in previous podcasts, remember, I knit it first. It was too small. Then when I was down here in April for the Knockers retreat, we discovered that the pattern, the way it's written, I thought I needed 147 stitches. I think it was 147 or 6 stitches. I don't remember.
Whatever it was you thought, it was double.
I'm sorry. I thought I needed 176 stitches for the front or the back. It's supposed to be combined. The front and back together should be 176 stitches. And at that time I had 224. Way too many stitches. And so we had a long conversation about how we both stood there and looked at it and said, we think it will be okay.
Yes.
And so what we learned from that and all of our other knitting projects, that we say that if as soon as you say that, that means you need to stop and reassess the situation. So Ben did try it on, and it's way too big. So I had stuck it in the closet, and I brought it with me, and I sat here one day and I unraveled the whole sweater and got down to 88 stitches, which is what I need, 88 for the front and 88 for the back, for a total of 176. And I said to you, it looks awfully small now.
Yes.
And
she had also had this question. She had been knitting on the sleeve, and when she went to rip out the sleeve, she said, I don't know what's wrong with me. I was knitting the sleeves on size 5s. I knit the body on size 6, and I used why did I use 5s for the sleeve?
Yeah, I'm like, and you said, well, maybe you needed the 6 needles for something. I haven't used the 6 needles for anything. Plus, there are those interchangeable ones. So if I really needed those 6 needles, I would have just taken the needle part off and put the little cap on. Mm-hmm. So we decided to go back and check my gauge, and I discovered that I knit the entire sweater on size 5.
Yes.
So when I cannot believe this. I cannot believe it. But we realized if I continued on 5s, it would have been with 176 stitches, it would have been 2 inches too small, and I want 4 inches of ease. So I only would have had 2 inches, which is not really enough for wearing it over a shirt or something.
Well, what Ben wants, the style of sweater that he wants.
So I was only going to rip back to 88 stitches for the front and back, but I realized I had to just rip the whole thing out. I decided not to rip it all the way out because I already put on the neckband. Mm-hmm. So I just knit back to maybe 3 to 4 rows from the neckband in the front, and then picked up stitches and started knitting with 6. So I've been knitting, I don't know, I've knit an inch maybe. And I don't know if you can see.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't look any different.
No, it'll blend fine.
Yeah.
I think. I don't think. I know it will blend fine. Because it's not that much in the smaller needles.
So, boy, this sweater's been a learning process, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But I had to rip it out anyway. So, I'm going to now knit this sweater for the third time.
Yes. The third time's a charm.
Right.
Or it's like a Goldilocks sweater. The first time it was too small. The second time it was too big. And this time it will be just right.
Just right. However, I was sitting there one night when I was knitting on it, and I said to Kelly, I really do like this yarn. So I'm knitting it, so it's not really an issue knitting it again because I like knitting
and I
the
said,
yarn.
shh.
Don't say that because you're going to attract something bad.
Yes. The universe is not... Do not let the universe think you want to knit this yarn endlessly for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I've been working on. And I feel pretty confident I'm on track now.
Good.
I think. No, I feel pretty good.
Well, the only thing that's in the size 5s is basically just the collar and just a little tiny bit of the neckline.
Yeah. Yeah, the shoulders.
That you could, and the first part of the increases
or
of the neckline.
The yoke, kind of the raglan, because it's a raglan sleeve sweater. Yeah. So, and I was really worried too that I would lose my place with the raglans, the stitch markers, but it's very obvious where the stitch marker goes. So it was actually really easy just to rip out and pick up the stitches and start knitting.
And you've got about, what did you say, about an inch or so? From where you started?
Yeah.
Back? So
yeah. I've been knitting, and when we go tomorrow on the road, I'll have 2.5 hours each way. So I'll have 5 hours of knitting on that sweater.
Right.
So, and then at the trailer, I can't spin the whole time. I'll go back and forth. But that really is why I brought it down here, is I wanted a little moral support to rip it out. And then also I wanted to be able to work on it while we're sitting around at the trailer.
Yeah, it'll be, now that it's back to the right place, now it's, you have raglan increases, but that's not something you can't do sort of mindlessly. And it really is nice yarn.
Don't say that.
Not nice enough to knit a fourth time.
Yeah. Right.
It's the exact niceness for three times.
But it's not nice enough for 4. Anyway, what about you're knitting on a hat right now?
Yes, I'm knitting on a hat. I'm again, kind of between projects. I finished that shawl that I had on the needles the last time. And I have some yarn that I want to start. And I think I might do a shawl with, but I just didn't have the time or energy or bandwidth to get it all going. And so, and I've spent the time while Marsha's been here almost a week.
Yeah, I arrived Friday afternoon.
Yeah. So I was able to take, no work on, I didn't work on school at all Saturday and Sunday. I mostly didn't work on school on Monday. And then I won't have school on Friday. So I've been trying to cram every minute of time that I'm not, in between those days that I took totally off, I've been trying to get as much work done as possible. So I just haven't had a chance to get anything started. But I grabbed one night. I had wound up, I had actually let Faye wind up the balls. She came over to do weaving, and I was going to have her select one yarn to weave with, or 2 yarns to weave with, because I thought she might like to do different colors. What she selected was yarn to make her weaving, and then yarn to make a weaving for her mom, and then yarn to make a weaving for her dad, and yarn to make a weaving for her brother. So we ended up winding a bunch of balls of yarn.
Now, did she do all this weaving?
No.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
But I thought, what the heck? I can, I don't mind having it be wound, right? So, and some of it, we just wound a small ball so she would have enough to weave with. And I said, okay, that we don't have to wind this whole thing. So anyway, I have all these balls of yarn that are all caked up and not very well. I mean, there's bad potential for tangle. Because I did let her wind them on, and you know how that goes.
Yeah.
But this one that I picked out is a purple. It's one of the Invictus Club yarns. It's a sport weight purple. is from her bulky club, or not fingering club. I can't remember what it was called, but I got bulky weight, I got sport weight, I got DK weight, all those not fingering weight yarns. So this is a nice, like kind of a lilac purple, do you think?
Kind of a periwinkle.
Yeah.
Is it periwinkle?
Yeah, maybe.
More lilac, I guess.
I lost my
Here's one.
blue. It's a blue purple. Oh, I'm tangled around. Excuse me while I untangle the yarn from my chair leg. So it's a blue purple,
but it keeps changing.
But it variegates lightly. It's more tonal. So on the whole, it's more of a blue purple than a red purple. It's very pretty. And then one of the other skeins that she liked that I wound up, that we wound up, I did, this is one I didn't have her wind the whole thing because it's lace weight. I did not want to wind 600 yards badly.
Yes.
So I had
This is pretty. I think these colors are great.
some small balls. This is Countess Ablaze. I don't remember the name of the colorway, but I bought it, and I actually have in mind to make a woven scarf with it. One of those scarves is called cramming and denting. So you put your threads together in the normal way in the reed, and then you use denting is when you leave a whole gap where you don't thread. And so it will, and then when you weave like an inch, or let's say you have an inch of threads and then an inch of space, in the warp, inch of threads, inch of space, inch of threads, inch of space. And then when you weave the weft, you do the same thing, inch of threads, inch of space, inch of threads, inch of space. And then when you felt it a little bit, you full it, because it's wool, they interlock in those little, like the little...
Does it kind of puff a little bit? Or
Yeah, so the little square, so here's like that... So there's little squares of weaving, and there's little squares of nothing. And the squares of weaving kind of lock together.
Okay.
So the threads don't all slide all over the place. And so you've got this open work. And so I thought, I'd like to use this. I think it's wool silk. It looks like it has silk in it. I can't remember.
It has a little shine. It's a little shiny kind of.
Yeah, I think it's a merino silk lace weight. And I thought, that would be kind of nice, kind of fun to do that with. But anyway, I wound up some little balls off the skein for Faye, and I grabbed a couple of those, and I grabbed the cake of the periwinkle color, and I'm just holding them together, and it's really pretty.
It's very nice.
So I think this might be a hat I keep.
Yeah.
I made a really deep 2x2 rib brim because that's my favorite. And it's really deep. And then I'm doing the pattern of the bankhead hat from there, which the bankhead hat is like a 4x1 rib for the body of the hat. So I'm just now starting the 4x1 rib. Okay. Which is really a weird rhythm to get into after you've done so much 2x2.
Yeah.
So that's my on the needles project, and I think I'll just bring another one of the skeins. I have a pink skein of this Invictus yarn, sport weight. I think it's sport weight. And then I have a really nice orange, and I actually think I might do the orange.
The orange would be pretty with that too, because there's just a little touch of orange in there.
Yeah, the lace weight, I didn't really talk about the colors, but they're all kind of jewel tones. Pink, purple, brown, teal.
There's
and then
gray in there too.
Yeah, some gray. Probably where some of the colors mixed together, it became gray. And then the little orange sections that turn to rust. So I might keep using this second strand with an orange yarn and see how that looks. So that's my only active project at the moment. But I did have Marsha help me to put the warp on the loom.
For the curtains for the trailer. So that was interesting. I learned a lot. It was kind of hard.
Partly because
of your situation.
Yeah, because I had to unroll it, rechain it, add threads, and now roll it all back.
Well, it was interesting because it's cotton yarn, right? And the fibers would get stuck on each other. So I'm holding all of the cut ends that are in that chain and trying to keep tension on it. But as you're rolling it up very slowly, you had to do it really slowly because some of that yarn would just kind of fuse to each other. It's like weird, and you had to stop and I think we started out that I was holding it and then I was going to loosen them as you started turning, but I couldn't do it. I needed two hands. We really needed a third set of hands is what we really needed, but we didn't have that.
Well, what I really needed to do is warp it properly in the beginning.
Right. Well, yes. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Here we were.
So live and learn, but it is on, and I've wound it on. I haven't tied it on. I haven't started weaving. I won't do that till later after Marsha's trip is over and I'm back to more calm.
But we did go out though. This was once Robert got the trailer uncovered, we went out and looked at your samples that you had done like, with the wood in the trailer, and then also the white tablecloth. And I'm saying white. But hold that thought. The white
vintage one with the red flowers.
With the red flowers, because it looks very white. But then you had also purchased the other fabric, which is very white.
Yes.
Which makes the vintage tablecloth with the cherry blossoms look a little less white.
Yeah.
And so it coordinates really nicely. You were concerned if it was, my phone's vibrating. We're moving it off the desk here. It
looked a little dingy against the white, the tablecloth with the red flowers.
It looked a little dingy, but it doesn't look dingy, but it doesn't look shockingly contrasty either.
Right.
With the samples of the curtains that you're going to make.
Yeah, because they're more ecru or natural, kind of the natural linen color.
Yeah, and they're not like sometimes things can look kind of dingy or something because they're kind of more yellow kind of. And this is actually sort of cool.
Yeah, it's more of a gray beige.
Yeah, and so I think it looks really nice with the vintage tablecloth with the red flowers that you're going to make the back window curtain out of.
And Marsha had a really good suggestion that I might want to actually put some of those flowers, embroider just a small touch of the same design of flowers on the hand-woven ones. And so I thought that's a kind of a good idea too, just to kind of tie it
together. There was one thought of just hand stitching them on, or you are going to lose some of the flowers when you cut the tablecloth apart. And that was another idea, was using it sort of like an applique. I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, I'll have to experiment once I cut the tablecloth up to make it into the curtains. My original plan was to have cut that tablecloth up to make the rear curtain already. Right now it's hanging in the back window, and we'll just use because the back of the trailer is sloped. It's fine when you're not trying to sleep. But when you need to sleep, you need the curtain to actually go at that same slant as the back of the trailer. And so what we used before when I just had fabric back there was a little bit of blue painter's tape. So we'll just tape them to the wall, tape the bottom of that to the wall so it's out of the way.
Short term.
Yeah. Oh. No, Marsha, that's my long-term solution. Blue painter tape all around.
Well, and the other thing when we were out there looking at it, we sort of thought, too, this was not the intent to line it, but there was feeling that it actually made the color look a little better if it had a lining.
Yeah.
And then you also wouldn't see, as the trailer's driving down the highway, you wouldn't see the back side of the tablecloth and all the little knots and
the back of the embroidery it's not a mess. It's actually very nice, but it's the back of the embroidery. So yeah, I do think I'll align them. I think that was a kind of a nice revelation to see how it, because so How I have it right now, because I didn't actually sew the curtains, is I just have the tablecloth draped over the rod. And so you have it doubled, right? Because that tablecloth is going to be cut in half, and one piece is going to be one panel and the other piece is going to be the other panel. But right now it's just folded in half lengthwise and draped over the rod. So it's, two layers, and that looks really nice.
It makes it look better with the hand woven. I think it
makes it darker. There's not as much light coming through, so the fabric looks a little darker.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's kind of an amazing project.
Lots of discussions. We sat out
Lots
there.
of discussions. Yes.
Yeah. So, and then anything more you want to say about that? Because I was going to
about
ask
the
you,
weaving.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I am pretty sure I don't want to use that white fabric that I bought. I'm not going to use that white fabric that I bought for curtains. It might work out as lining.
As lining, yeah.
But no, I think that's all I need to say about that.
And then, did you have a finished project?
No.
I thought you had a finished.
I do. Yes, I suddenly remembered a finished project. So my adult layette socks. I don't even have a project page for them. Or I need a project page for them. That's why I didn't remember them. So I did finish those. I wove in all the ends. I'm packing them to bring camping. They turned out nice. That Vivid yarn that you bought in Iceland, it's a 4-ply, and the plies are really tight and smooth. And so that yarn, it makes a really nice feeling sock. Kind of cushy, but it'll be sturdy. So I'm looking forward to wearing those. I saved them. I was going to put them on today, and then I thought, nope, I'm going to wear them to the trailer rally. Yeah. So, but I ran out of my goal was to use up the yarn. I was so successful. I ran out of the Vivid yarn. That was what I was using in the main part of the sock about an inch before I got to the toe. So I had to use the toe yarn to finish the foot.
You have a big toe?
I have a big toe sock because I had to use the toe yarn for about an inch before I got to the toe on one of the socks. So they don't line up, but I do not care. That my goal was accomplished. I between my hat and those socks, I have hardly any of that yarn left. So. Well, I have none of the Vivid yarn left. I have a little bit of the Yak Luxe, but not much to speak of. So
that's it for me for projects for you and for me. And I know you need to get off here in a few minutes because you have work to do.
Yeah, I have my office hour
in about 10 minutes. But before we go, because we will be back, because we'll be recording from the trailer, but just before we take this break, I also want to say that on Monday morning, we took the dogs, all 3 dogs, to Carmel Beach. And we left the house at 7 a.m. because this is only the second time that Barry has been to the beach and allowed to go off leash. And he did really well.
Yeah, he did. The first time he went, he also did well, but that was before his weight was off and his thyroid medication had really stabilized, and so he didn't have the emotions that he has now.
But he did. There was one moment where he didn't listen very well, but overall, I mean, he did really, really well. I think, and because he's now seen Enzo. This is the 4th time, I believe, right?
3rd or 4th.
Oh, it was the 3rd time because I've been down here, but I didn't bring him in March. I didn't bring Enzo in March. So it's the 3rd time, and they're doing well together.
Yeah, they've been together off leash in the backyard. They've been together off leash in the house. Most of the time we have Barry on leash just to kind of keep the opportunities for collision to a minimum,
we're not
tight spaces,
and we're not letting them like all 3 be like in the kitchen. Well, your dogs aren't supposed to be in the kitchen anyway, but not letting them be like in the hallway all together or any tight places. But Barry's doing. I mean, I was impressed. He's doing really well.
I'm really proud.
And also, yes, you should be proud because you've done a lot of work with him, and it's just making his life better and better. Right, the more he can do this type of thing,
Right.
the better it is for him. And the other thing too, like when I saw him, both March and April, he had reached his target weight, but he was sort of saggy baggy now, kind of, and I think since I last saw him I saw him in June, he seems to have, like, this sounds weird, but like absorbed his skin.
Yeah.
Like it's all, I think he's been getting enough exercise that it's sort of, and he's still a young enough dog that he's sort of now, his skin is like the right size for him. His skin had to sort of catch up with the weight loss.
Yeah.
So he looks really good, and he was just such a good boy.
Yeah, he was a very good boy.
Yeah. So
his class last night went really well. Had a couple of growly moments, a lot of whiny moments, but no, he was doing really good. So yeah, it's been fun having all 3 dogs. Now, all 3 dogs are not going to sleep together in the trailer. That's not going to happen.
Well, there isn't really room because they're all pretty big.
Yeah.
We could have them in there, but we couldldn't get.
We wouldn't be able to get to the bathroom, which the whole point of this new trailer is to have a bathroom.
Right. So, so Bailey and Barry will sleep in their crates in the truck. And Enzo will be in the trailer.
Yeah.
So anyway, but we'll be back.
Yes.
We'll record sometime this weekend and tack it onto this. And then we'll let you get to your office hour.
All right.
With your wine.
Yes. I don't usually have a glass of wine before my office hour, but
okay.
This is a special
It's
occasion.
vacation.
That's right.
Okay.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Be back. Bye.
See you. We're back.
Yeah, we are back. It's been, we should say we intended to record in the trailer when we were at the trailer rally in Pismo Beach, but honestly, there was no time.
Oh my gosh. Trailer rallies are like the kind of knitting retreat that you go to that has things scheduled, a morning activity and a noonish or daytime activity and then an evening activity. Yeah, we were busy the whole time.
We did get things, we did do some knitting and spinning.
Oh, yeah.
But in terms of recording, it just didn't happen. So, but here we are. It's Monday morning, and I don't know if people can hear, but Robert is upstairs on the phone. So it might be a little loud that he's talking on the phone.
He saw a lot of trailers being towed by vintage trucks. And so stay tuned.
He's been online searching for Ford 1965 Ford F-150 pickup trucks. So if anybody has one out there that they want to sell, we know someone who's looking for one. Anyway.
Yes.
So anyway, let's just talk a little bit about the rally. It was, first we have to talk about driving there. We left it was 2:00, I think, when we left.
Yeah, because I got out of class at 1:30. So
yeah, we basically just left.
I was already packed.
And this was really fun. I posted pictures of it on Instagram, but Robert had made burritos the day before, and then we had them wrapped in foil and strapped them to the manifold of the pickup truck. And actually, that's a reason. Okay, so I'm just laughing when I say that. That might be another reason to buy an old pickup truck, because we finally decided that with new cars, because I don't know, what is your truck, 2 years old, 3 years old?
2, I think.
That there's really difficult to find places to strap them, and we don't think the manifold is the same as it was on an old pickup truck.
Right, it doesn't get hot enough.
It doesn't get that, yeah. So they were plenty hot, and so anyway, Robert made, I think, 8 burritos. I don't remember now.
Something like that.
And we had them strapped to the manifold, and we had a 3-hour drive. In defense of the burritos, I thought they were really good. They were warm, plenty warm to eat. They did sit an hour after we turned the engine off, because you had to get the trailer set up and unhitched and the hookups and do all, and that took about an hour, right? So they did sit for. So we were talking about probably the best thing to do is to do that in the morning. If you're doing a long trip, that you're going to be on the road for more than 3 hours, say
Yeah.
you would then do them in the morning and stop for lunch and eat them hot right off the, you know. But anyway.
Yes, manifold cooking is probably best for that type of trip. And Marsha told me there's actually a book called Manifold Destiny. Well, there's 2 books because I looked them up. And one has nothing to do with cooking. It has to do with, I think, mathematical manifolds. I didn't delve that far into it, but I know that's a topic in mathematics. Anyway, the one that you want is a cooking book for how you can cook all sorts of things while you drive.
Pork tenderloin on your...
But I do think it's designed for not the modern vehicle,
it's an
modern
old,
engine.
That book's been out for a really long time, so I think it's designed for older cars. So another reason why he should get that old pickup truck. Anyway.
We'll see.
So that was the day we arrived. And then that was Thursday.
Yeah, we got
evening.
there Thursday.
And then Friday.
Had a fire in the fire pit, which was really nice. It was cold.
Very cold.
On Thursday night. That was the coldest night, was Thursday night. And then it warmed up. And it was like 69, 70, 71 during the daytime. All of the days that we were there, I think.
Yeah, but kind of breezy at night. But the next morning we went at 7 a.m. was the pancake breakfast. And we went to that. And did you see the picture I posted of you and Robert on Instagram?
Yes.
You don't look very happy. We had a great time.
We were, Marsha said, okay, look cold.
You didn't have to try to look cold. We were just cold. Anyway, but it was kind of fun. We went to the pancake breakfast and oatmeal bar and met a lot of people. And that was really fun too, because if you wore your pajamas, you got it free. If you were in your street clothes, you had to pay $1. Nobody was there collecting any money. That was a joke, I think. But it was really fun to see people's outfits.
Yes.
Lots of chenille robes, because chenille seems to go with vintage trailers.
And the one woman had a robe that was in that like quilted polyester material from, I would say, like the 60s maybe. And then a lot of turbans too. Yes. A lot of turbans. I was just wearing a stocking hat, but I think you know the vintage aspect of it. I need to knit myself a turban.
The turbans, I have to say, it just reminded me of, as I said this to little Edie from Grey Gardens. It was kind of disturbing.
Well, and it would be good to have like a. You know, those house coats, those weren't pajamas either, but that would be a good thing in the nicer weather you could wear your house coat over your pajamas.
Yeah.
And go it was too cold. I didn't have warm enough pajamas to wear my pajamas.
No, I didn't either.
I needed to get into my flannel lined jeans and knitwear. Did you wear any knitwear?
I did wear knitwear to the pancake breakfast. I had the hat I knit, which I believe it's called Zigzag.
Oh, right.
That the blue one. I wore that, and then I did wear knitwear, but not my knitwear. I wore my Icelandic sweater. But I had a long sleeve T-shirt, and then I wore my little puffer windbreaker thing under it, and then because it's the Icelandic sweater is more bulky, so it's the puffer jacket doesn't fit over it as well. But if I wear the puffer jacket under it, I could just wear the Icelandic sweater over it, so I get that windbreak and then the warmth. So it's perfect. I wore that to the pancake breakfast, and I wasn't hot by any means, but I was comfortable. And then
I had my hat that I made out of the brown Targhee lamb. The same as my dark and stormy sweater. So I have that hat. That hat just stays in the trailer.
And you had knitwear on, but not your knitwear.
Right. I also had knitwear that was not my knitting. I wore the Austin sweater that Celia McAdam Cahill designed, and then the pattern sample she destashed at the Knockers retreat, and I was lucky enough to get that. So, and the thing about that sweater, that is really a trailer sweater, because except I wear it more than the trailer. So I'm not going to, like the hat I just leave in the trailer. That sweater I'm not going to, because I wear it more often. But it has the exact right colors. It has the green of the outside paint job of the sweater. It has the red of the countertops and accent colors on the outside. And then it has the eggplant color of the sofa, the sofa upholstery. So it's the absolute perfect color combination to match the trailer, coincidentally.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's why I liked it.
Yeah.
Because of those colors. So after the pancake breakfast on Friday, there were a lot of activities that we didn't partake in. They had cornhole tournaments, bowling tournaments, kite flying, demonstrations, miniature golf tournament. And we went to the beach. We brought Bailey and Enzo out to Pismo Beach. And the thing about Pismo Beach, just iconic, the iconic element of Pismo Beach is clamshells. It's the only beach that I know, that I've been to in California, where you walk along the beach and you actually see whole clamshells everywhere. I remember as a kid going there being so surprised because we had gone to beaches in the Santa Cruz area, Monterey Bay area, and Santa Cruz area, and we found shells, but they were always pieces of shells. It was really rare to see an entire undamaged shell. And so,
well, and we also we left them, but we saw live clams too, just scattered along the beach.
Marsha looked at one, and it turned out to be both sides of the clam.
Yeah, and a clam.
And a clam inside. And then there were a few others. Yeah. The dogs had a great time. We were pretty much the only ones out there with dogs for the most part. We probably weren't supposed to have our dogs off leash, but we didn't see any signs. There were no signs in the entrance area to the beach. The beach access that we used had no signs. And when we got onto the beach, there was nothing.
There was no sign, so I don't know. But some of the dogs were leashed, so that's why it kind of made me wonder. But anyway,
and
they'll never see us again. So,
and we were in the part of the beach where the only access is from the RV park. But you know that you can then get to that beach from other beaches. So anyway, the beach was really fun. The dogs had a good time. It took a long time to get there because there's a creek between the RV park, the Pismo Coast Village RV park. There's a creek that runs between it and the beach. And so we had to walk a ways until we could find a place where we could get across I guess it's a freshwater creek.
I think so.
Runs out to the ocean. So that was fun. Then we came back, and that was Friday, and Friday night they had something really fun. They had a trailer crawl, which is kind of like a progressive party, but instead of going inside and sitting down and having your part of the meal, you just get dished out a little cup of soup or
meatballs
or slider. So much food.
So there was we think there was 15 to 20 trailers participated. And they had food. They had, like, the first thing we had was the
chicken skewers.
The chicken skewers with a peanut sauce and rice and a little bit of green beans. And we had, what do you call the little hot links? Is that what they're called? The little
No, those are like Vienna sausages, little smokies.
Little smokies. That was somebody had little smokies.
There were meatballs.
There was, you said, the pork sliders. There was the tortilla soup or the chili soup or tortilla soup with the chili. You put like Fritos on it with cheese.
Yeah.
That was really good.
That reminded me of, we used to have, they sold Frito Banditos, they called them, at the snack bar at Little League. And the Fritos in the bottom of the bowl, and then chili over the top of the bowl, and then cheese on top. Yum.
Very good, yeah. And then they also had cocktails.
Yes.
So some of the people had food, some of the people had cocktails. So we tried,
and some had both.
Yeah, some had both. We tried. The first one we had was old fashioned. We had,
and it was a cinnamony old fashioned. He called it a fall old fashioned or something. It had maybe the bitters. I'm not sure where the cinnamony flavor came from.
And we had it was called dark and smoky.
Yes.
Which we don't know what made it smoky. He did put bitters in it.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
I'm looking up the recipe as we speak.
Oh, now
here.
that's dark and stormy.
Oh.
So what's I wonder? So what's a dark and stormy? Because he must just modify it to make it smoky.
I don't know. He had a recipe. It wasn't his own. Dark and smoky. Let's see if I can find it. Dark and stormy. Dark and smoky.
Oh, here we go.
No, that's actual peppers. Smoky, dark, and stormy cocktail. Okay, I'm not seeing it anywhere. Dark and smoky. Let me try this. This is great podcasting, right? Great audio while I look up something on. Yeah, it's not wanting to.
And it was interesting because he had pineapple juice in it and ginger beer. He was putting in there.
And mezcal.
Okay.
And a lot of other things. Okay, so
smoky, dark, and stormy cocktail.
So here's a smoky, dark, and stormy. Let's see what it has. So anyway, he was like the devil, and his wife was like the angel. That was their theme, and so he had the dark and smoky cocktail, and she had the angel cocktail. So dark rum, ginger beer, lime. No, he had more than that.
Yeah,
he had a lot of stuff in
he's putting in there, and then she was also making grilled cheese sandwiches too. Wasn't she making the grilled cheese sandwiches?
Well, I was actually waiting for a grilled cheese sandwich, but she got involved in making drinks for people and didn't get the grilled cheese on the griddle. Yeah. And I wasn't bold enough to just grab my bread and cheese and
or demand her make her one for you.
Please give
me. We have to be a little respectful.
It's not like I was starving because I didn't have a mini grilled cheese sandwich.
And then somebody was making mudslides. Mm-hmm. We did not have that. Robert had that. Yeah. And then
we had pozole. Well, we thought we were finished and we were just out walking the dogs. The time frame was over, but there are some parties that were still going, and people were calling us over to try things. So one woman called us over to have some pozole, and
then another woman called us over to have. She had little tiny flourless chocolate cakes and lemon drops. And I think that capped our evening.
Yes, I think that was it. We were so full. Oh my gosh. But it was really fun. Next year, I think Robert and I want to be a host for this little party because I think it'll be fun.
And then we did a lot of brainstorming about what you should serve. Mm-hmm. So because you have kind of a train car theme for the trailer and you call it the club car, you were thinking a club sandwich. That's a lot of work. So that we kind of rejected that idea. And then this was not the same night, but when we did the other food that we had, it was really clever when we I would say basically that was that evening.
Yeah,
right?
That was Friday.
That was Friday. And then we didn't eat dinner that night because we were kind of full. So I think we went back to the trailer and sat around, I guess, and went to bed early because we were tired and a little inebriated too, I think, from all of that. And then, but the next day when there was a tour, or that's not the right, open house for the trailer, and one of the trailers that was there.
And it was open to the public, so people from the local area came by to see the trailer. And it was mostly people from the local area. The one in May attracts trailer enthusiasts from all over the state, not just the local area, to come to the open to the public open house.
But the one trailer, and I had forgotten the name of it, but the big yellow one that was used, what was the name of the trailer?
Oh, it's a New Moon.
And it was used in, I had never heard of this movie, but apparently Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz made a movie called The Long, Long Trailer.
Yeah.
And this and some of other the same trailer, multiples of the same trailer were used in that film. And so they have one of those trailers from the film, and it's pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
But the owner, the husband and wife were there with for the tour, and they had a big basket of what are the gold wrapped chocolates? Not Lindor.
Yeah, I don't remember what they're called.
They're the gold wrap. I'm drawing a blank on them. Anyway, but they have those. They're giving them out because in honor of the episode of Lucille Ball when she and I'm drawing a blank on her name. What's her friend's name?
Lucy and
We should know. Everybody's listening to this and shouting.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, they're at the candy factory and they're having to eat all. Everybody knows that scene.
What is her name? Now
Hazel.
this is going to drive
Esther.
me. I want to say Elsie, but that's not right.
Quick. This is terrible. Fred and
Ginger, but that's not right either.
okay, everybody is continuing to yell at their smart devices. They're listening to this.
Funny. So you look it up. I will talk more about what was happening. And the other thing they had. That long trailer, we got to watch it being towed out.
Vivian Vance is the actress, but what's her name? I'm remembering Vivian Vance. I can't. It's loading.
Okay,
it'll come to me.
So pulling it out. How long was it, Marsha? 30? No, longer than 36 feet. Or was it 36 feet?
36 feet or something. Yeah.
Yeah, really long trailer. Long. It was a long trailer. It's basically a house inside of a 8-foot or 10-foot wide trailer. Yeah.
Ethel.
I knew it started with
Ethel and Fred Mertz.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
anyway, that's terrible.
And it turns out we said, "Oh, is that the most popular episode?" And the man who owns the trailer said, "No, the most popular episode of I Love Lucy was the Vitamita Vegemin, where she was trying to do the commercial."
Oh.
So anyway, they had a lot of I Love Lucy trivia and just information about that trailer. But yeah, that was pretty spectacular to see.
Yeah.
It's called A New Moon. Yeah. So there are about 200 trailers there. So that's quite a few. Not as big as the one where we picked up the trailer in May, but a lot of really cute trailers.
So just let's just talk a little bit about some of them. So the one that was our neighbor, the
GMC.
We had a GMC motorhome next to us.
From the 1970s.
And then on the other side of them was the one, and I never can remember the name of it. You know the name of it, but it's the sort of the bullet-shaped one.
Oh, Bolus, Air Chief.
Bolus, I think.
Or Road Chief.
And it's it looks sort of like a
1930s.
Yes, and I think it was like from 1934 or something like that. And the other thing I should say about all these trailers and the RVs, because there was a couple of like motor coaches there, that they all have a story. Oh, yeah, Bolus, yes.
Yeah, Bolus Road Chief.
But they all have a story. And just briefly, this one, their neighbor owned it, and he used it into the late 70s, early 80s. He used it, and he actually took it on the Alcan Highway. Took this trailer.
And it's tiny. It's probably 12 feet, 13 feet.
But he dragged it all the way up there. But the thing is that in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, I don't believe the Alcan Highway was the way it is today. It was very rough, rugged. And you needed clearance in your car, and you needed to bring extra fuel and extra tires and stuff. And then so I don't know how many times he did that, but he used it. And then when he no longer used it, it just sat in the backyard, and it became storage for books and all of the stuff that we store.
That doesn't fit in the house.
And they wanted to buy the trailer from him, and he's like, no, he wasn't interested in selling it because he used it for storage. And when he passed away, they were able to buy it from the estate. And then they started the restoration, and then he was saying, and they decided it was more than they could do, so they sent it to Flight Camp, the same place where your trailer was restored, and they did it, and it's really interesting.
Yeah. And
then there was other people who had motor coach. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
RV.
Yeah.
That was called a RevCon. And it was, he told us it also had a story.
Yeah.
But RevCon stood for like revolutionary concept. And the man who had came up with the idea of the RevCon actually had worked for Airstream.
Yes. I think he was like a son-in-law or something. He was somehow connected to the family.
And at that time, Airstream did not make motor coaches, just trailers, and he thought that was going to be the wave of the future. So this is going to be the revolutionary concept of having, and so they were talking about how this vehicle has, I believe they said it had an Oldsmobile Tornado engine in it, but it had different parts, GM parts.
Yeah, he cobbled it together from all sorts of places. Yeah.
But what is funny is they had seen it, and there was a guy living in it, and they showed pictures of it when they actually got it, that he had 3 motorcycles inside of it, and plus all kinds of junk. And he was, I guess, living out of this thing. I'm not sure. And they saw it on the street, and they were kind of interested in it. And then they kept finding it closer and closer to their house on the streets. It kept moving closer and closer to the house. So they finally thought this was the universe was telling them that they needed, or no, the vehicle was telling them that it needed to be purchased by them. Rescued. So those are just 2 stories, but I think every trailer had a story like that.
I wish I knew more of the story of ours, I mean, we have our story of how we got it, but I don't know anything about where it came from. It would be fun to know a little bit more.
Yeah. So we didn't really get to go in too many trailers because you have to be at your trailer, right? And so we stayed at the trailer while Robert went and looked.
Yeah.
And he came back, he did reconnaissance and told us what you need to go look at.
Yeah, he said, you need to look at these 3. And we thought, we'll go and we'll look at those 3 plus some others. And then we got into conversation. And by the time we were done looking at those 3, it was time to go back and have some lunch. And so that's all we saw during the open house. But we got to see others during the weekend because people are super generous and, everybody's there to show their trailer.
Well, and we also had some conversations, Kelly, about your trailer. Well, first I should say people were really interested in your trailer. A lot of people came by and were really impressed with it, which is nice, that your baby, people like your baby, But we were also talking about how, because you've not had it very long, you've not really had a chance to do the things to it that people do to their trailers.
Accessorize.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I say accessorize, I mean stuff outside the trailer. And so people have lights, they have flags, they bring special furniture. A lot of people brought special furniture that actually sort of was in keeping with the style of the trailer.
Time period. Like there was one group that had an FMC motorhome from the 70s. And they had a whole setup of 1970s stereo equipment and because
the color theme of that motor coach was orange and gold, and
like the 70s avocado, orange and gold. Yeah,
everything was in those colors, and and then so like we were talking about how you need to get some lights. You're not going to, that's too much stuff.
One trailer has 38 flamingos.
Yes.
Looks very cute.
And they were funny too, because as the wind would blow, they'd all start spinning around, Yeah. And then there was the other trailer, wasn't it the other your trailer? That they had all the Coleman lamps. I mean, the son-in-law had all of the Coleman lamps.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And we walked by at night and he had them all lit.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing.
Probably 50 lamps were lit in their campsite. And I mean, from the early 1900s on, different styles of lamps, most of them Coleman. And yeah, that was a spectacular collection. Talk about a stash. And we were talking with him and he said, this is just a small sampling of what I have at home. So if you have, several hundred skeins of yarn, don't feel bad. You could have several hundred Coleman lanterns. And
I'm going to say people I discovered have more than one trailer. Now, you knew this, but we did meet a man who had 24 trailers. In his defense, not that he needs to be defended,
Right,
but
it's a business.
it's a business.
For him,
So I think he had 2 or 3 were his own personal trailers, and then the rest were things that he had purchased and was fixing up, and people had already bought them, and he was. But many people have 2.
Probably the majority of people have more. My first clue was when people talked about this one not being their forever trailer. Like, I've heard that phrase, like forever home for a dog that you rescue. I had not heard that phrase in any other context. And so, so talking about their forever trailer. And then the other thing that was my clue that people had more than one trailer is that they would say, oh, well, I brought this one to the rally. This is the one I bring to the rallies. And like, okay, so you have another one that you camp in.
Yeah.
So, but it was really fun. And then they had a big party on Saturday night, nacho bar.
Yeah, and I was in heaven because they had the tortilla chips, and then they you would top it with that. Is it the Velveeta cheese?
Melted Velveeta cheese, yes.
Like the kind when you go to the fair, you get it, or I think Costco maybe.
Basically basically the gooey cheese that you pour on top of.
So good. I think I went back twice and got more of them. They were because I never get that kind of stuff, and it tasted so good to me. Terrible. Anyway, that was really fun.
Yeah,
and they gave out prizes for who had traveled the farthest, and then who had won all the different
all the tournaments. Best dressed. They had some best dressed. Like at some of the tournaments, they had a best dressed category for that tournament. Who was the best dressed person at bowling and stuff like that. So people dress up, vintage to match their trailer, which is another thing that Robert and I have not gotten to yet. The vintage clothing aspect of it. But I mean, you can do as much or as little of that as you want. So it's all just a lot of different ways to have fun.
And then after that that night there was a dance party, and
we took the dogs.
Yeah, so they went to their first dance party, and Barry did really well.
Yeah. He got a lot of practice of walking past other dogs, and by the end, he was mostly like, "Oh, I see you. I'm going to look at you as you go by, and I'm kind of excited to see you." But
I'm just going to say, on Saturday night, we decided to come back and we sat by the fire. Is that when we sat by the fire? Or were we sitting in the trailer and he started whining?
No, we sat by the fire.
And he wanted to go to bed.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to get in. I think he had just had enough.
Yeah.
Like he had enough and he just wanted to go
I got up to see
zone out in his crate.
I got up to see what he needed, like thinking maybe he had to go to the bathroom, and he made a beeline for the ramp to get up into the truck. He's like, put me in my crate in the truck, please.
He just had it.
But they had a really good time.
Yeah. So, is that all we want to say about the rally?
I think that's it. Yeah. It was just, lots of people who had been spinners or had been weavers or actually were knitters and crocheters or knew somebody who was a spinner came up and talked to us as we were spinning. So that was kind of fun. There was a lot of interest in the spinning wheels.
And also, I say you bought me a sweatshirt too. We all got sweatshirts,
Oh, yes.
or you and I got sweatshirts, and Robert got a T-shirt. And it's really cool because the colors are sort of like a sagey olive green, but the trailer that's on the front of the sweatshirts, we should take a picture of this and post it too. Is Kelly's trailer?
It's a Westcraft. Yeah.
Not and sort of
four trolley windows and double axle, just like ours. So
So.
But it's nice of them to put our trailer on their shirt.
But anyway, what we did do, you were knitting, and I did mostly spinning. So do you want to talk about your project because you finished it?
Yeah, I have an FO. Actually, so does Marsha. I have a finished object, my hat, and it's the Invictus yarn. It's Invictus Sportmaster. I'm not sure what the colorway name is. There is one listed on Ravelry called Bliss. That's a purple color. I think this might be different than that, but close. It's kind of a more blue purple than what I saw online. It was from the club, the bulky club that she had, that Sue from Invictus had during the pandemic, I think 2020. I was in that club for about 6 months. So I talked about that before. I mentioned also that I was holding it double with a lace weight from Countess Ablaze, and that was her Lord Kitchener lace, and the colorway of that is called Psychosocial. And it's knitting up really pretty. I finished it, and it's got a real nice deep brim because I wanted that, a very long brim to
go over your ears,
fold up so
back,
that it more than goes over my ears. And so that'll be really nice and warm. And then I used the bankhead hat. I did a 2x2 rib for the brim instead of 1x1, but then I used the bankhead hat pattern, which is a 4x1 rib for the body of the hat, which I really like. I think I'll do that again. I think I'll use this pattern again. In fact, I have enough yarn. I think I can make this exact same hat again.
Oh.
Because I have quite a bit of yarn left.
And for Robert, for the trailer, when you dress alike for the next rally.
In our purple hats. Yeah. So this one, I think I might not put this one in the trailer because I think this will be my at-home warm ears hat. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I'm really pleased with it. The pattern is good. I got the pattern recommendation from Knitty Barb. Thank you. And I have a nice little candy corn stitch marker on it that Janice sent me, our friend Janice.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, Wild Pony 2. She sent me the stitch marker. So thank you, Janice.
Very nice.
It was a fun little project. It got started.
Are you going to leave the stitch marker on the top of the hat and wear that?
No.
Because it kind of picks up the little bits of
orange. Yeah.
Cute.
So, yeah, I'm happy with it. Finished object. I started it before we left. Mm-hmm. A little bit before we left, so I had something to sit and knit while Marsha was here. But then finished it this morning, actually.
Okay. Well, I don't really have a finished object, officially finished.
Well, it's a finished skein.
It's a finished skein. So the Falkland and braid and the merino silk braid, I filled the 2 bobbins, and then I started plying the day we left because I stopped in the middle and then came home yesterday afternoon and I finished. Well, actually, I plied until I had maybe another. You know how you have the little hook on there? And I had that last hook. I just had to finish that, and I was so tired last night. I thought I can't finish it, so I finished it this morning, and I wound it into a skein, and it's very nice. And it's so interesting. Well, let me just say I have 304 yards in this first skein, and it's 3 ounces. So I have 16 ounces. So in theory, I'll have 16 yards, I guess. Mm-hmm. And Kelly, we were looking at it. We think it's, well, honestly, some sections are probably lace weight and other sections are fingering weight, I would say.
But by the yardage and weight, that looks like about fingering weight on average. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. It's pretty.
But, I'm making noise. I would say it's interesting because when the braids look one way, then the singles look another way, and then you ply it together and it looks completely different. And when we were sitting in camp, and the one braid, the Falkland, is basically it's yellow, gray, and then just the natural white of the fiber. And when you looked at it on the bobbin as a single, that was a lot of yellow. Mm-hmm. And then the other bobbin was kind of aqua and gold, kind of a greeny gold. And I don't know, maybe like a light blue or something. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, I said to you, I think when I ply them together, it's going to be very yellow. Mm-hmm. But when I've actually applied them together, that kind of baby butter yellow is kind of gone.
Yeah. It's nice.
It's become, all of it, the yellow has become a little bit sort of a green yellow, greeny goldy yellow.
Mm-hmm. It's more muted. Mm-hmm. The gray has muted some of the colors in the others, muted the turquoise down a little bit, and the gold has muted from the turquoise skein has muted the baby, baby's room yellow, and so it's nice. I think it'll make something really nice. You're going to like it more than you thought you were going to.
Yeah, because I guess what I would say is you can take a braid that you don't really like, because I had bought that braid and then I hadn't done anything with it since 2018 or 16. I can't remember what the date was, because I didn't really like it. But you combine it with something else and it changes it completely.
Right.
It's a completely different.
Right.
So interesting.
Yeah, that would be a fun experiment to buy.
Take 2 ugly braids. Do 2 ugly braids equal a beautiful yarn?
Yes, 2 braids you don't like. Let's not call them ugly. Just 2 braids that you don't like, and out of your stash, and spin them and ply them together and see what you get.
Yeah. So anyway, and I have enough, I think, to fill another bobbin, and then I'm going to put my wheel away, pack it in the car. So
anyway. Yeah, because you head back.
Tomorrow. And then the other thing, I haven't told you this, Kelly. I was really tired last night, but because I thought to myself, I'm going to try and make it to 8:00. I think we went to bed about 7:30 or something. We were exhausted.
Yeah.
And
it was an early night.
And we were exhausted, and we got an extra hour of sleep too, because it was daylight savings time ended. Right. So anyway, I got to bed and I knit a little bit, and then this morning I got up about 6. And did you know, you probably didn't hear me get up. I got up at 6 and I came down and made a cup of coffee. And then I went back to bed and worked on the sweater that I'm making for Ben. And I now have 88 stitches, which is what I'm supposed to have for the front and back. So let me just look at my notes. I have the 88 stitches for the front and back. And I'm supposed to have 77 stitches for the sleeves. And I'm at, don't ask me why I have 56 on one sleeve and 57 on the other sleeve, but I do. So I roughly have 10 more increase. No, wait a minute. That's not right. 5 more increase rows, right? If I increase 2 stitches, oh, yes, I have to do 5 more increase rows, and I will then have enough for the sleeves. Okay. And then I have to do a little, I have to lay it out and look at it to figure out when I'm going to start putting my stripes in. Because the first 2 times I knit the sweater, I put the stripes in above the break for the sleeves. I put two stripes in.
But that's because it took so long to break for the sleeves, at least on the last one.
That's true, but I wasn't sure how it will look. I'm not sure if the stripes should start after the break does it, in terms of on the body, will it look okay if the break starts where the sleeves are? Because it's a man's sweater, so it's basically, if men had a bust, it would basically be going across the bust line, but he doesn't have a bust. So does it matter?
No.
It doesn't matter on a man's sweater where the stripes start, you don't think?
No.
Just started under the, once I finish the sleeve.
Once you start, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What you could do, this is probably more than we need to talk about today, but what you could do is calculate out the number of rows of stripes you have with the rows in between, and just look at again, like with your row gauge, how many rows will that be? How many inches will that be? And do you want it to end there? Okay. Right? Because if, let's say it doesn't get long enough, let's say that number of rows starting right after you split the body and the sleeves. If you start right there, maybe all your stripes are finished and you still need 4 inches of sweater. Or maybe all your stripes are finished and now you have 4 inches too much of sweater.
Right. Okay.
Because you have a different gauge now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that'll be a discussion in another podcast about the math behind it.
Next time.
We won't bore people with the math and all of that. So, but anyway, I'm back on track. I'm nearly back on track. I just have to figure out where I'm going to start the stripes, and then it should be clear. Well, don't tempt fate.
I'm not going to knock on wood because it won't sound good on the microphone, but yes.
Yes, I'm not going to tempt fate by saying
anything about it.
No.
You will just be ready to start the stripes soon, right?
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that. I don't want to jinx it.
Okay.
So, do we have anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay.
Until next time.
Yep. As I say, I head out tomorrow morning, and we'll be back recording from our separate states.
Yes.
Alrighty.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2usfiberadventures.com.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the 2Us
Doing our part for World Fleece.